Hello, welcome to part 1 of the MikroTik configuration series, and I'm going to show you how to do the initial configuration of your router. But before you start configuring it, I'm going to show you how to connect your router to your PC. So on the back of your router there are a number of ports. You will be connecting your Ethernet cable into either port 2 to 5 to do the initial configuration. The reason why we are not going to use port 1 is that port 1 by default is not allowed to configure the router because it's blocked because of firewall. So there's a firewall setting that is in the router that would prevent the router from being configured through port 1. So what you need to do is to plug your Ethernet cable into either port 2, 3, 4 or 5, and the other end of your cable you'll be plugging that into your PC or your laptop, and you'll be connecting your power cable into the power jack and power up your router. So next I'm going to show you how to do the initial configuration of your router. So the first thing that you need to do is to open your browser and go to mikrotik.com/download, and we are going to download Winbox. So Winbox is a tool that is used to configure your MikroTik router. So it gives you a graphical user interface for easy configuration. So you're going to download Winbox. So whatever version is there, just download it and save it into a location where you'll be able to access it easily. So by just clicking on the link, it will ask you to download the file. Just choose a location to save the file and press OK. But I've already downloaded the file, so I'm going to open it and show you what you need to do next. So you're going to open Winbox and click on the neighbors tab and then click refresh. When you click refresh, what it does is that it searches the network for your MikroTik router. So at this time your router should be connected directly to your PC. I remember you should be using port 2, any port between from 2 to 5. Those are the ports that you should be using just to do the initial configuration. The next thing is that you're going to click on the MAC address. So you're going to click on this area where the MAC address. You're not going to click on the IP address because this more likely will change during the configuration. So you're going to click on the MAC address, and the user ID is admin, and initially there is no password, so you're going to click connect. So because it is the first time you're configuring your router, it's going to ask if you want to use the default configuration, but we're not going to use that. We're going to configure our own. So we're going to click remove configuration. Let me just open this window a bit wider. Alright, so we're going to use the quick set feature to do some of the initial configuration. It's going to advise you that you could lose connectivity. I'm going to say yes, and you're going to change to Home AP or WIS AP. So WIS AP is if you're setting up the router to offer internet service to a number of users, but we'll be setting up the router using the Home AP, and again it's going to prompt you letting you know that you may lose connection. Alright, so the first thing that we need to set up, we're going to set up is your internet. However, you're not connected anyhow, but depending on the type of internet connection that you have, you will select the appropriate setting. But most internet service providers, the modem usually have an automatic setting. So we're going to use the automatic configuration because this usually works for most modem. However, if your ISP uses a different feature such as PPOE or a static IP, you can set it to those. The next step is to set your router IP address. So we're going to use 192.168.5.1. The reason why we're using 5.1, you may have noticed that a lot of routers are using 192.168.0.1 or 1.1. The reason why we're using an IP address that is outside of that range is to prevent any conflict with the addresses. So we're going to use, so you could use any IP address that is outside of those range, just to be on the safe side. And for the network mask, we're going to use a /24 for that, and we're going to configure the DHCP server, so you're going to tick that also, and you're going to select a range. So the range that we're going to use is 192.168.5.10, and the reason why I'm starting at 10 is to just in case you have some devices that you're going to assign static IP addresses to, you can actually put them in that range, but you don't need to worry about that. Just set it to 10 for now, and the ending IP address range would be 192.168.5.254, and then you're going to enable NAT and click apply. Click OK. The next thing that we're going to configure is the wireless. So click on wireless, and by default you see the name WLAN1. Double click on that and click on the wireless tab. Ensure that this is set to AP bridge. So we're going to move down to the frequency. So we're going to set the frequency to auto. So this will allow the router to change frequency based on the best signal strength and based on what is happening in the wireless spectrum. So just set it to auto, and the SSID now is the name of your wireless access point. So when you normally click on to browse or to search for a wireless, the name that you put here is the name that will come up. So we're going to leave this as MikroTik, but you can use any name that you wish. And we're going to click OK, and we're going to configure the security profiles. So click on the security profiles tab, and there's one security profile named default, so we're going to edit that, and we're going to change the mode to dynamic keys, and we're going to tick WPA2 PSK. And the reason why we're using this is this wireless authentication type as is more secure. So we're going to use that, and we're going to use a key. So really is the Wi-Fi password. Whatever password you want to use, just make sure that you remember it. So I'm going to put a password there, and then click apply, then click OK. And we're going to close this window, and then the next thing that we're going to do is reboot the router. So go to System, reboot, and it's going to ask you, do you want to reboot your router? You're going to click yes. So your router will now be rebooting. How do you know that your router is started completely? Is by looking at it. You will see the Wi-Fi light flashing, and you will also see the port that your Ethernet cable is plugged into. You see that port lit. You can go ahead now and plug your the cable from your modem into port 1, and now you'll be able to browse your internet through your MikroTik router. So that's it for the first tutorial on how to get started with MikroTik. So stay tuned for another tutorial in this series. So thanks for watching.